Welcome to
the local lowdown and
find out what's happening in Lavaca County, Texas. Now here are your hosts, Murray and Michelle.
Hello everybody, this is Murray back with you on this edition of the local lowdown podcast. And this is April 24th, 25th editions. And I got my partner Michelle with me. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing great.
And we are honored to have our senior writer from the Hallettsville Tribune and Herald and LavacaCountyToday.com, and he writes for every other paper we got. Jimmy Appelt, how you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for the nice compliment.
Well, we're glad to have you here and looking forward to the information you got to provide us. Michelle, you want to start off with Hallettsville and then we'll go on from there.
Sure. In this week's Hallettsville edition, you'll see the honor that Mr. and Miss HHS went to Demarion Austin and Macy Herring. So congrats to those youngins. Of course, it is that time. We've been leading up to it, and it is Fiddlers Frolic weekend. So you guys look, there is a schedule of events. Make sure you go through all of that and have fun if you go, but be safe. Lights, camera, action. So if you have been driving by the old jail, you may have saw some production crews out there. And that is because there is a movie going on in Hallettsville, and we will have more on that next week. So look forward to it and be safe as you drive by. Jimmy wrote an article about sales tax holiday for emergency supplies. So this is not like when you get sales tax, right, Jimmy, from your clothes or school supplies.
No,
it's a totally different one.
With the hurricane season coming up, they hold this at this time of the year. People can go out and buy batteries and flashlights and a number of other different things, and they won't be charged tax for it. So
look at that a little bit more. Make sure if you need to stock up, you do that. There was a Parkinson's walk held, so that is also some information on that and a picture. Bluda, which is of course the superintendent for Hallettsville ISD, was reelected to the UIL council. So read all about that. And if you haven't voted yet, there's still a chance to early vote, and then regular voting day will be May 4th, and we'll have more information on that next week. Of course, Henry Joe has a really good question.
What's the little fella got this week?
He is asking, well, I gotta get there, but I know it. What month of the year, when spelled backwards, names a vegetable?
Oh. Do you know the answer?
I do, because I asked him.
Well, maybe you ought to just go ahead and tell it.
No, that would be horrible.
Mad.
He'd be so,
I'm just kidding.
Mad at me. There's some service awards. We always thank those who serve our community, and so definitely check that out. More on the bond. Bobby Harechka, our managing editor, has an article on Moravia. They're having a celebration this week. And then we're going to go over the obituaries. From Hallettsville, we had 3 obituaries. Ms. Mary Meagle, 93 of Hallettsville, passed away peacefully Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, with her family at bedside after being given last rites. Mary was born on October 5th, 1930. Martha Lynn Della Rosa Houston of Hallettsville was age 54 and passed away on Sunday, April 21st, 2024. She was born on October 10th, 1969. And Sally Voskamp, 97, passed away on Thursday, April 18th, 2024, and she was born January 17th, 1927.
Yeah, condolences to the family and friends of all these folks.
And then Jimmy always attends Commissioner's Court, so he has what was going on there. Make sure you pick up your paper to read that. More information on school awards. Of course, it's the end of Autism Awareness Month, but make sure you still wear your blue shirt one more week. And then, of course, we are heading into the playoffs for both baseball and softball for both Hallettsville schools. So best of luck to them. We did get... Now, Jimmy, you want to talk about this wild card thing a little bit?
Well, the UIL state track meet is next Friday, and Hallettsville had their 4x200 meter relay team qualify for the meet. I think looking at the qualifying times, they were tied like for 5th going into that meet, so that's pretty good. And they got a good group of guys that run for them and do excellent job handing the baton off to one another, and then they got a lot of speed along with it. And then there's 4x 100 meter relay group, which is made, I believe, of the same runners. They finished 3rd at region, which does not allow them to go to the state meet, but UIL has some type of thing where they pick they call it a wild card, where out of the 4 regions, whoever the 3rd place best time was out of the 4 regions, they also get to go to the meet. And I think the Hallettsville boys were able to do that. So best of luck to those guys as they go there next week.
You bet. Congratulations to them.
And we have some school news, of course, hospital board. We have some letters to the editor. Remember, you can always put those in and submit them. More about Fiddlers. Classifieds, guys, advertise. It does work. And then we have Murray's story on a Yoakum soda pop war.
Yeah, this is really a repeat of a story that I wrote years ago, and I had pretty well put it on the shelf until 2 weeks ago. I was contacted by a gentleman who was the descendant of one of the men that were involved in this story. It took place in 1899. There was 2 fellows over in Yoakum who were soda water competitors. They each had their own brand that they pushed, and they became mortal enemies. In fact, they had a gunfight and a fist fight on the downtown streets of Yoakum, and later on, one of the guys was assassinated. And this gentleman that contacted me was a descendant of the man that got assassinated. And in my original story, I did not know what became of the man that did the killing. And so after this guy wrote me, I got to thinking about it, and I thought, if that was an ancestor of mine, I sure would like to know if anything happened to the man that killed him. So I went back to the books and went back to the old newspapers and did a search, and lo and behold, I got real lucky. In an old issue of the LaGrange Journal, which is a newspaper I don't think is even in existence anymore, there it was on the front page about this murder in Yoakum. Back in those days, kind of like we do now, newspapers mail their papers to one another. They didn't have the modern things that we have to communicate. And so their stories that they picked up would be anywhere from a week to 2 weeks late. And that's what this was in LaGrange. They picked that story up from Yoakum. They published it like 5 days or 6 days later, but it was word for what Yoakum had written. But I didn't have the Yoakum story, and I was so fortunate that LaGrange did have it. And to make a long story short, they said that this guy was brought to trial in October. The murder happened in August. He was brought to trial in October in Hallettsville. I guess they got to change the venue. And in a short jury deliberation, they turned him loose. He never served a day. And the people that had the Yoakum paper, they were outraged, and they added more that I don't have in here. And they wasn't too happy that this guy got off scot-free, and they made him the heavyweight because the man that he killed had beat the hell out of him in that initial fight. But he got even and assassinated him. But anyway, that's pretty much the story.
Do we know what soda they had?
No, well, that was 1899.
While you're talking about soda pops, and brought to mind a couple of things that I remember. For people that are, for the younger generation, they may not know this, that we had soft drink bottling companies here in Hallettsville at one time. years and years and years ago, where the Radio Shack or Communications is located, they used to bottle Orange Crush, which was interesting to watch them.
That was a good soda water too.
Yes, it was. And then more recently, back in the 80s and 70s, they had they bottled Dr. Pepper over up by the football stadium. It's now Pepsi Cola Bottling Company, which basically is a distribution center. But it was interesting to I even worked there one summer for Dr. Pepper. And boy, you talk about when that soft drink came out of that machine. It was really good because it was nice and cold.
All right. Well, we got our soda water stories in, and that's good. And Michelle, the reason that I had this picked up on the website, LaVacaCountyToday.com, is because we were talking about the Fiddlers Frolic. And our managing editor, Bobby Hariska, had asked me to put the interview he did with one of the founders of the Fiddlers Frolic. He wanted to put that up on the website, and we have it on the website. And it's a video. You can play it. It's pretty lengthy. I think it's about 40 minutes long. But it's that complete interview, and it's very interesting about how Fiddlers Frolic got started, and basically that's why we had that page up there, Michelle, so you can move on.
All right, so now we're going to the Shiner Gazette. You want to talk about it, Murray?
I'll let you. You seem to know quite a bit about that subject.
I wonder how. So on the Shiner Gazette, on the front page is some of my favorite kids on the planet, let's just say. And this is the Miss Shiner and the Shiner Royal Court. They will be heading to San Antonio this weekend to celebrate Fiesta in the Fiesta Flambeau Parade, and they're going to be debuting their new float. It's finally done. So they're really excited to hop on that. They're excited to represent Shiner. And you can watch the parade live on KSAT 12 at 8 p.m.
You also did a podcast on that, didn't you?
I did, and the kids had a whole lot of fun talking.
Well, that's great.
They could have went on for hours, but we only did 7 minutes, which I thought maybe Murray will help put it up if I only do 7 minutes. All right, and then we have the Game and Fish League meeting, and I think they're going to have some things coming up, like a raffle that's also in here. March to Brazos is a story about Jake Davidson and Jake Yockel. So there's two Jakes, and they're talking about the annual Corps of Cadets March to the Brazos. So they both attend Texas A&M University and did this March to Brazos and are part of the Corps. Shiner Public Library, this is a great opportunity for your kids. Get them signed up. The summer reading program's happening, and it's a lot of fun. I asked Margaret when she was proofreading this, I was like, are they going to have the snakes? And she said, it looks like there's a reptile day, but it's also going to have kangaroos. So I hope I get to see a kangaroo. And then...
I wonder where they're getting that kangaroo from.
I don't know. Your backyard, maybe. If you're from Shiner and you don't get a Hallettsville paper, you can see more about Fiddlers Frolic, as it is also in there. Excuse me. Maybe I should have cleared my throat, Jimmy. Shiner Game and Fish League raffle. I told you that was going to be in here, so that's all the prizes there. And then we do have some obituaries. We have Roy Patterson Jr., Roy Patterson, RB, 61, passed away peacefully on April 15th, 2024, surrounded by his loving family. I don't see a birth date on that one, so I'm sorry if I'm missing it. And then we also have Bernard J. Ziegel Jr., Bernard Joseph Ziegel Jr., 75 of Shiner, passed away Thursday, April 18th, 2024.
All right. Condolences to the family and the friends of those folks as well.
And then thank you to all of our advertisers, of course. Soil and Water Stewardship Week. You can see that picture of the board of directors. It will have some of those winners, right, Jimmy? Is that associated with this? The Soil and Water?
Oh, yes. Next week we'll have the poster and essay winners.
And we'll be spreading that out over several issues, because I don't know how many photos Jimmy's going to have, but probably quite a few.
A lot of winners. And so we have the Shiner Girls golf team make a return trip to state, so read about that. Of course, all the Shiner teams are also headed to the playoffs, and they actually have 2 wild card spots, and I'm not sure that Mark got it in the paper because I know that they were waiting, so I'm not sure, but congrats. I do know that one of the relays and I think the 400 girl both got those spots. So
Yeah, our sports guys have been pretty busy with all the track and the softball and baseball and what have you. So congratulations to them. They do a great job, Mark Luby and Chuck Groff. Now, before we jump into the next paper, Michelle, I had intended to do this in Hallettsville. We need to let Jimmy talk about the guys going to the NFL and all that coming up. So go ahead, Jimmy, and share it with us.
Well, before I go to that, I just thought of 2 things that were in the Hallettsville sports page that we didn't mention. The boys golf team qualified for the state golf meet. I think it's coming up fairly quick. And then also we had 3 girls from Hallettsville qualify for the state tennis meet as well. So we congratulate them and wish them the very best as
Where
well.
do they compete, Jimmy? Do they compete at UT, or do they have a separate facility for the golf and the tennis?
It's all held in Austin, but they have a golf course that they play in Austin, and then I don't know where exactly the tennis tournament is held.
Okay.
Now, for you NFL fans, you probably know by now that the NFL draft starts tonight, which is a big exciting thing because everybody, their favorite teams, they want to see where the next probably professional star comes from, and they'll have the first round picks tonight, and then tomorrow night they will have the second through the I think the 4th round or 5th round, and then Saturday to go to the higher rounds. And we have some excitement here in Hallettsville because our outstanding running back from the Brahmas back in the 2020 season and prior to that, Jonathan Brooks, who helped lead the Brahmas to the state finals in that particular year. He went on to play for the Texas Longhorns after that and became their starting running back last year and was having an outstanding season until he had a knee injury that forced him to end this season. Well, as the off season came along, Jonathan decided he's going to take his chances on the NFL draft, and so he chose to make himself available, and from all likelihood, he's been getting a lot of I don't know what's the right word to use, but they've been bringing his name up quite a bit. In fact, ESPN NFL expert on Mel Kifer projects him to go in the 2nd round with the Dallas Cowboys, which would be a nice thing to see. Jonathan, of course, he's a Texas boy, and that would be kind of nice to go to a Texas team, and we hope that might be the case. So you people watch tomorrow night, actually Friday night, if you're at home and you want to watch the NFL draft. There's a possibility that Jonathan's name will be picked somewhere along that way. If and so that does happen, he will join only 2 other Hallettsville guys that made it to the NFL over their careers. One of them, of course, was Cole Wick, who played for Sacred Heart Indians back several years ago. And he was drafted, I think he was drafted. If not, he went signed as a free agent and was with the Detroit Lions for a while, and then I think he also played a little bit with let me find it for sure, with the New Orleans Saints. But he was a tight end for them, and he played a couple of 3 years, and then his career ended. And then the other one, a well-known legendary ball player, played way back in the 60s for Stevens Mayo. That's before they segregated the schools. Basically Andy Rice, and Andy went on to play for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he actually played in the first AFL NFL World Championship game, which also was known as Super Bowl I. And then Andy went on to play for Cincinnati Bengals, Houston Oilers, and the San Diego Chargers before he ended his career. So if Jonathan makes it there, that'll make the 3rd Hallettsville athlete to make it to the NFL, which is quite an honor.
You bet. Well, you know, Andy Rice, he was well known in this area, and here in Gonzales. Doesn't he still have family
Oh yes,
here in Hallettsville?
Yes, he sure does. Andy has a daughter that lives here in Hallettsville, and she's every year when his birthday comes along, she got it the city council to name his birthday as Hallettsville, basically in honor of him. So,
Well, actually, now that you mention that, I remember her coming to the office and bringing us some goodies. I don't remember if it was baked goods or what.
That was a birthday cake.
It was
Was
a
it?
cake.
Okay.
It was a very good one too.
Yeah, we appreciated that for sure. Well, you got anything else on that, Jimmy? Or?
No, that's pretty much it. I just recommend if people are wanting to keep up with the NFL draft, don't be surprised if you see Jonathan Brooks' name come up Friday night being drafted by the Cowboys or somewhere else. But he is going to go pretty high in the round, so let's hope the very best.
Well, you Cowboy fans will be mighty lucky to get that young man. I only got to see him play one time in person, and they were playing Columbus in Katy, and they lost that game. And Jimmy, I forget what year that was.
That might have
Probably
been
his junior or
yes.
sophomore year. But that kid's amazing. I mean, and I'm a big Longhorn fan, and I was so happy to see him go there. And he did wonderful things for UT.
Oh, he set a lot of records
Yes,
for Hallettsville High and touchdown. I think he scored over 60 plus touchdowns his senior year. And I'm not certain how much rushing yardage. We'd have to ask our sports editor that as to how many yards he rushed for back in that year when they went to the state final.
Well, all right, Jimmy, we appreciate you giving us that little tidbit. And if you need to go, well, you can ease on out of there. And if not, you're welcome to stay, whatever you wish to do.
Well, thank you very much, but I think I am going to step out. Enjoyed visiting with y'all and joining in on this podcast.
Okay,
today.
Jim. Thanks a bunch. We appreciate it.
Go do your scorpion story.
All right, we're going to jump on over now into the Yoakum newspaper. What you got, Michelle?
Well, it's always horrible to have sad news, but it is front page news, and there was a 2-vehicle head-on crash. It's sent to the hospital. We do hope that they're doing well. We did not know at press time, but by the pictures, it was a very horrific crash, so we do hope that they are going to be recovering at this time from that. The YEDC discusses IP2 update, reimburses grant. None of that makes sense to me, but you guys should read the story and figure out what that is.
Yeah.
Murray, you need to talk some. I feel like you're being quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Jimmy does a great job.
Jimmy does do a good job, but why aren't you talking?
Because I'm over here maintaining this signal on this recorder to be sure everything is right.
Okay.
And be sure you don't get too loud or too silent, which we don't usually have to worry about that.
No, we don't. So we have 3 obituaries. I apologize. Mary Pargman, Mary Abramet Pargman, age 84, passed away on April 18th. She had a twin sister born February 24th, 1940, with her in their home in Schrader, and they were born to Hugo and Dorothy Albright Bartman. So condolences to her family. We also have Lorraine Anderson, 90, who passed away April 17th in Waco. And then Don Nobles. Don Nobles, a dedicated husband, father, friend, passed away peacefully tending to his cattle on the morning of April 4th in Yoakum at the age of 79. So condolences to all of them. Veterans Appreciation Day was held, so some of the papers do have a few tidbits on that, but always thank you to our veterans.
You betcha. This is that time of year when the veterans are being honored, and we look forward to that and covering them and doing more stories. And thankfully, folks have these events where they take them fishing or they do various things for them, and we appreciate everybody coming out and turning to honor our veterans.
Now, Yoakum did very well in track and field, and they're competing in 6 events at the state meet next week. So best of luck to all those athletes, and congratulations on how far they've already come. Also, Yoakum baseball and softball, as far as I know, both are headed to the playoffs, so that should start for the softball this week and then baseball next week.
All right. Well, many thanks to Ellison and Nadine. Y'all do a great job over in Yoakum. And I believe that wraps it up, don't it, Michelle?
Does. It's all you now, Murray.
We're moving on over now to the Molten Eagle. And on the front page, we have a young lady that won the gold in the regional track meet, Abby Tinagero, and I know that's not pronounced correctly, but there's a fantastic picture of her on the front page of the Molten Eagle. And not only that, I noticed inside when I was putting the inside pages together that she's also honorable mention on the honor roll. So there you have an all-around athlete and a good student to boot. And congratulations to her. She'll be going up to Austin. I believe that's May the 4th, and be competing at state. So we wish her the best of luck in that. And then we have a story about the city council meeting that was written by our reporter Clayton Kelly. And Clayton does a good job over there. We also have the Fiddlers Frolic on the front page. So we have Henry Joe Yashek's Town Crier. He's writing a story about a senior class reunion, and it was a pretty lengthy story. We jumped it on another page, and I appreciate the folks sending me that, because they actually used the email account that I had set up for Henry Joe, and thank you for doing that. And we hope that the rest of you want to send anything to Henry's column is send it to realtcs@zohomail.com. All lowercase letters, REALTCS@zohomail.com. What else you see over there, Michelle?
And we have some more sports, and it talks again about the advancement to state of Abigail, and also girls and boys, how they finished out. So congrats to all of them. We have a obituary for Barbara Jane Martin Brandon, who passed away Monday, March 18, 2024 in Kingsland at the age of 75, surrounded by her family and her puppy dog.
Condolences to her family and friends. I also have a story about the Moravia Store. They're having a big celebration out there Saturday. They're going to have good food, tractor rides, bands, and what have you. So check that. The complete story is on our Molten Eagle Facebook page. Okay, so much for Molten. We're going to jump on over to Nicole Smith's Luling Newsboy and Signal. What you got, Michelle?
Down at the Foundation Farm, it was National Agriculture Week, and so she talks about their visits to the Foundation Farm to observe farm practices up close. And then we have her talking about a 2022 murder case near Nixon. So as you guys know, Luling's pretty close to Gonzales, so this is kind of didn't make all of our papers, but you probably may have heard about it. It is a pretty interesting case, so go ahead.
Yeah, it actually was a cold case. I was sent a news release from the Gonzales County Sheriff's Office, and our managing editor, Bobby Hariska, I sent that to him, and he put together a story on it. And so it's a cold case that would probably have never been solved if this one kid hadn't said some things to another kid on the school bus. But it's an interesting story, so be sure and give that a look.
we have their Thump is coming up. So who will be this year's Thump Queen? So there's a picture of who's running for that. So best of luck to those young ladies. Oops. A little technical difficulty, but I'm getting there. Luling boys head to state in their, I would say based on the headline, mile relay, but I haven't read it, but best of luck to them. And they have some softball and baseball information as well. Some talk about the Astros, who right now are struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I understand they've been losing. I don't follow them that closely, but I heard Jimmy talking this morning about them losing a few games here lately. So, anyway, we usually include these stories from Luling because for those of you who don't know, Luling is owned by the same company that owns all the newspapers in Lavaca County. So we consider them part of our family. Nicole and her people over there, they do a great job, and we're honored to have them with us. So, you got anything else for that, for Luling? Or
No, we're done.
that's done. Okay. Once again, I want to apologize for probably butchering the heck out of Abby's name as over in the Molten Eagle, and please accept my apologies because I know it's not correct.
We're still proud of you.
We are very proud of you and your accomplishments, and we look forward to seeing what you do in state. And so we wish you good luck.
And maybe we'll figure out how to pronounce your name when you
Yeah,
win
maybe.
it. State.
Yeah, maybe so. You know, these Hispanic and Czech names sometimes are hard for us because I don't guess we have any Hispanic folks nearby that can help us with those pronunciations.
No.
But you can bet we'll track it down, and we
Maybe
will
Henry.
find out.
Henry's Czech background.
I don't know. Sure, he knows everything about the Czechs, but about the Hispanic folks, I'm not too sure. But he actually thinks he knows a lot when in reality that's not the truth.
In reality, he knows everything.
Yeah. Well, before we go, and you need to help me on this because I would like to recognize all the people in this organization,
Oh, my goodness.
all the employees.
Okay.
And let's start with Hallettsville. We know we've got Michelle and Murray and Jimmy and Chuck,
Henry.
Henry, Clayton, Ani, Margaret,
Rick.
and Larry. I believe that's all.
That could be it.
Can you think?
Bobby.
Well, Bobby, we would mention Bobby in every paper because he is the managing editor
After all.
So I think that covers the Tribune. And what about Shiner? We got Janet and Mark, and I don't know who else they have, if they have anybody that helps them deliver or does anything like that.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, and in Yoakum, we know we got Allison and Nadine, and Mark Luby contributes with his sports. Anybody else you'd think of over there?
I mean, Raymond, he's in
Raymond Rojas. I can pronounce that one, I think, Raymond. I may be wrong.
Rosas
or Rojas or whatever.
We're not sure.
Who else we got to look at? We've looked at everybody.
Moulton.
In Moulton, we got Murray. We got Murray and Clayton, and Michelle helps out sometimes, and Jimmy also writes stories for the Moulton Eagle. And we appreciate you folks that
basically
subscribe.
The Hallettsville staff works on all the papers.
You're right. It's we get in here like this morning. We had a staff meeting, and we put together everything that we're going to have on the upcoming papers. And it's a family affair, that's for sure. It's not just Hallettsville. We talk about every paper and what we hope to get in those papers. And if you have any suggestions, you feel free to contact our office here.
Ask for Ani
and Michelle. 361-798-2481, I believe,
That's
is
correct.
the number. And of course, you can go to these offices in the towns where they're located as well. Now, Moulton, we don't have an office. We operate all out of Hallettsville. We had an office in Moulton once years ago, but we no longer have it.
And we don't have an office in Luling either.
True. But anyway, I just wanted to get those names out there because sometimes I feel like people might be getting left out that should be getting recognized for all that they do. You know, we have the good fortune of having our voice on the air nearly every week.
Almost.
And
Ooh, so close.
so we appreciate you listening, and I hope you'll share this and be sure when you share it to mention that Jimmy Appelt was on here and that we talked about the NFL draft and we talked about these players from over the years who have been to our schools here in Hallettsville. And I don't know, I guess we don't have any from the other schools as far as getting in the NFL. And I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. So, do you have anything to say before we close this out?
I think I'm really hungry.
Okay, well, I think we actually went under a little bit. So go ahead and say your goodbyes and I'll wrap it up.
All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Of course, there's a lot going on. There's Czech Fest in Shiner. Moravia has their festival. Fiddlers Frolic is going on. And then I'm headed to San Antonio to Fiesta. So whatever you do this weekend, be safe, have fun. Enjoy your time with friends and family and loved ones. And, sometimes a great weekend at home is also good. So whatever you're doing, enjoy it and make each moment count. Have a great weekend, guys.
You bet. We got so many things coming up. We got these graduations and we're going to have special editions, I guess. Are we going to have a pull-out section for the other paper?
For Hallettsville and Shiner.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Yoka.
Okay. And Moulton, we'll have it. Their graduation pages will be on the inside of the Moulton paper. So there's a lot of things going on this weekend. We have Fiddlers Frolic. We have the Moravia Store celebration. So a lot of things for you to do. So get out and enjoy your communities. And we appreciate you reading our papers. And we appreciate you listening to the local lowdown. With that being said, I'll say goodbye. And we'll see you all next week. Goodbye, everybody.